We back. Hello, notary friends. Welcome back to my channel. So, if you watched my last video regarding the apostille job that I recently did, that freaking me out. I lost time on doing that. That video inspired this one. Here are 5 things that I think you should know when you're doing an apostille slash authentication. So if you're interested in getting that apostille bag, which I highly recommend, right? As notaries, we're always looking how we can maximize our profits, and apostilles is one of them. I added this service maybe like 3 years, about like 3 years into my notary journey. Like, I sucked it up, read a book, took a course in order to do this work, and I've been doing it ever since. I would like to do it more, but that's another story. So first point is that not every country is treated the same. If you've already looked up what apostilles are, you probably will know this already, but you have your non-Hague and your Hague country. So they have countries that are part of like a convention. If they're not part of that list, you have extra steps to do. Otherwise, it is pretty simple to get a job done. If it's a Hague country, it's fairly simple. So a Hague country like the UK, Mexico, those are going to be Italy, those are going to be pretty basic, one step generally, depending on like where they originated from. So like in this case, they were in California, so they had to go to the California Department of State. So I had to send the documents out there. My client's in New York, I'm in Jersey, right? So but otherwise that was still easy. It went to the Department of State and it went right back to my client. So that took processing time for that took like 3 or 4 days, I think, like business days. That was like really quick. Client had it back in their hands. Where it gets real spicy is that those non-Hague country, it gets real spicy there. So like Qatar's non-Hague, and that was a document that I had to use. That's a non-Hague country. So a completely different process. Well, not super completely, but you got added legs to it, right? So for the non-Hague countries, so part 2, right? So you have to know that there's a Hague, non-Hague countries. It's fine if you don't know the entire list. Usually while I'm on the phone call, I'll ask them where it's going, and I'll just Google whether it's Hague or non-Hague. You can have a list if you'd like. I do have a list, but in real life, when I'm getting the calls like in motion, that's not realistic for me to do. So I'll just Google while they're on the phone, so I know which process it has to go through, so that I can explain that to the client over the phone. So the non-Hague countries are gonna require like 3 more legs, as I like to call it. I love sports analogies when I can use them, and I used to run track. So right, the pass off, next leg, to pass it off to someone else, you're gonna have to pass it off about like 3 times. So you're gonna do the state level, that's going to the Department of State of either where you are or where the documents originated. I've done a lot of notarized documents, so they originated here in Jersey, right? But when you're using other documents, or like in this scenario, they were notarized in a different location, sent to the attorney in New York, and then like sent to me, right? So they originated in a different state, so they then were processed in that state. Then once wherever they originate, they're processed there, they now need to go to the Department of State for the federal authentication, and that's done in DC, and it takes 10 business days, guys. So write in your notes if you ever get it and you know it needs to go to DC. You need to add that into your processing time when you want to give them an estimate. So if it has to go to DC, you get your phone call. Remember, E told you it takes 10 days to process. Add that into your processing time when you're talking to the clients. Then, depending on the destination country, so like in my situation, it was going to Qatar. It needs to go to the embassy. Yes, there's an embassy in DC, but guess what? They did not process the Qatar documents that originated in Colorado. They processes Colorado documents gets processed in Houston. I may need to get a list. I don't know, but that alone, now they need to go to Houston. If it was a different country or they processed Colorado documents, they could have stayed in DC and I would have just used the same courier and she would have done that for me. And then send them to the embassy. What's good about some of like it sitting there, you have time to figure it out for your clients, but just know that these are the steps that it's going to go through when you're talking to the clients, as far as maybe like finding a notary. If you don't, I didn't know anyone in Houston, found someone in Houston. I got recommendations from everyone else. Houston was tough for me to find someone because no one answers their phone, but whatever, I digress. Yeah, so then it goes to the embassy, and once that's done, every place has their processing time. They were supposed to get it done in a day, but they happened to be closed for a week and added additional processing time. So, it got shaky on that deal. Watch that video if you want to see how that went down. Right? So, like I said, we went from, in my scenario, the deal that I just finished, if you watch that video, the documents went to California. That original notary screwed up. Scrapped those documents. Now we had to go to Colorado. They got done there. The Hague documents went back to the client. Like I said, within like 3 to 4 days, done. Sweet, easy peasy lemon squeezy. The non-Hague, it got real spicy on that one because of the delay and the closing, right? Like they were closed for a week and then we had to wait, and then they were backed up, so we had to wait more days, and I'm like, literally, I only have 7 business days left to get these back. I was like on the edge of my toes, whatever. So you need to know to give them like some sort of timeline, but obviously you won't know until you get in there, right? Like when my client told me and I was like, this is gonna have to go through like a special situation. Right now we're cutting it close. Can we get it done? Yes, but that means that there can be no delays, and there were a few, and we worked out the kinks and got it done. So just know the non-Hague countries have a different process, additional steps to do to complete. 3, where did the documents, so you're definitely going to have to know where did the documents originate from. These documents originally originated in California until we got the screw up. They originated in California. So everything was going to be based off the fact that they originated in California. Since that was scrapped, the new set of documents now originated in Colorado, and it kind of changed my third leg. It changed my third leg because it still couldn't have been processed in DC after the authentication. It would have had to go back to Los Angeles, and I was trying to figure that out. But whatever, it didn't have to, because like I said, I had to start over and they were in Colorado. Right? Where the documents originated from, and then hopefully that notary did a good job in notarizing said documents, because you'll have some delays like I did in my situation because a notary did not, this is not one of my notaries by the way, but a notary did not execute the document properly, which caused a delay in the job for all of us. That notary might not get work again, or from my attorney friend. All right, and 4, I'm a flat fee girly. I know a lot of notaries aren't, but this is where it was difficult for me to do a flat fee. Like generally for like the easy Hague countries, and they originate here in Jersey or even New York because it's close in proximity to get to, I can do a flat fee and that makes sense. With this, it wasn't, I couldn't do that. I worked with the attorney before, so we already knew that it was a starting base because I've done it before for them already. However, because I had to pay other notaries, ship it out, coordinate all of these things, like those are like some real hard costs, and that's going to be different everywhere, right? Every notary charged me a different price. I paid every single one, but the hard cost that I came up with on that deal was $1,100. It might not be the same every single time. It might be more, and that wasn't including, again, like my service fee that was adding for like the coordinating. These are the hard costs of everything that I had to pay out of my pocket to do. So a flat rate didn't necessarily work for this, and that's why if you look at my pricing video, all pricings for the notaries is not the same. There's different reasons. There are different what's the word that I'm looking for? There are different cases, case by case scenario. In most cases, I think for my notary business, a flat fee works, and then if there needed to be like after hours add-ons, those are fine. But the flat fee model, I find, did not work for this type of job. So keep that in mind, that if you want to go with flat rate for everything else, for apostille, you might not be able to do that. I learned that very quickly by doing this complex job. I couldn't charge what I usually charge because I would have been at a loss. I would have lost money. So that doesn't necessarily work for this. And 5, right? You're not just a notary in this case. You do not have to be a notary to do an apostille business. You can just obviously hire a notary to do that portion, and you coordinate the rest. I didn't notarize anything on this deal. There were no notarizations done by me nor any of my notaries on this deal. I did all the coordinating, talking, calling, organizing with the embassies, all of the people in a different state, talking to people from the different countries, like coordinating all of that. That's what I did. That's what you're getting paid for when you're doing the apostilles. You're coordinating the notaries, you're calling all the different states and the countries, things like that. Like, that's what you're doing. So organizing all of this so it was on time for my client, that's really what I did. It was very stressful. It was very stressful to do, but damn, like, your girl felt like a boss doing this deal. It was really exciting, and I'm fiending for my next one. I got an apostille page up now. Like, not like we need to make that pivot. But yeah, I was really excited to do this deal. Very excited to do this deal, and this is why, like, this can be a very lucrative thing to do for your notary business, especially if you do it right. If you can do it right, get you a little team of notaries, communicate with people, add people so that you know that there are people that you can count on. I think that apostilles are great. People say it all the time, but no, like, they really are. You're helping people coordinate. Like, I love doing them. The first time I did my first one, it felt great. It felt fantastic, like, getting it done, doing something for a client. We all know, like, that feels amazing. And me doing this complex job, and I've never done a apostille job like this. And now I just want more. I hope, like, they come in droves now, because your girl knows how to handle them and how to do them. But yeah, those are 5 tips that I think that you should know if you're considering going to get into the apostille field of work. Those are 5 things that I think that you should know, take into account. For sure, I'm always going to advocate for making sure that you get education to do this correctly, because this was essentially getting a business, right? Their patents. That's what it was essentially doing. Like, this is a whole company trying to get their patents done. Like, and there was a deadline, or they were going to have to start from scratch yet again. So, very important things that you're doing for this client. But if you want to know the full story of that Qatar job and how that went down for me, the skin of my teeth, I got that done. Got it done 3 days before the due date. Oh my God. But the sweat on my brow was crazy. But yeah, you can watch that video. I'll link it at the end. And of course, follow for more if you want more real business breakdowns. I feel like there's a lot of videos that's just fluff. Y'all like the fluff. But if you want real life scenarios, real deals, because your girlie's outside, please follow for more of my content. Okay, thanks. Bye.